Who was Thomas Ernest Hulme? Early life and education. Thomas Ernest Hulme was born on April 16, 1883, in England. He came from an intellectual family, with a strong academic background. His father, a scholar of French literature, encouraged Hulme's early interest in intellectual pursuits. He attended a variety of schools, ultimately studying engineering at the University of London before pursuing philosophy. This blend of a technical background and philosophical curiosity would later influence his thinking, which sought to combine the practical with the theoretical. Philosophical and poetic development. Hulme initially became interested in philosophy and developed a strong admiration for the works of Immanuel Kant and Friedrich Nietzsche. Over time, his philosophical interests shifted toward the more practical aspects of human existence, which led him to embrace a form of philosophical realism that focused on human limitations rather than idealism. His poetry, which would later become highly influential in the Imagist movement, reflected his philosophical outlook. He sought to strip away excessive ornamentation, favoring clarity, precision, and a direct approach to describing the human experience. Hulme's literary career was closely linked to his intellectual pursuits, and he saw no clear separation between the two. Influence on the Imagist movement. In the early 20th century, Hulme was a key figure in the Imagist movement, which aimed to revolutionize poetry by embracing directness, economy of language, and a sharp focus on imagery. He was a major influence on the poet Ezra Pound, who would later bring Imagism to its full fruition. Hulme's contribution to this movement was both in his poetry and in his critical writings, where he advocated for a break from the excessive emotionalism and florid language of 19th-century Romanticism. Hulme's impact and legacy. Although Hulme died tragically young in 1917 at the age of 34 during World War I, his ideas had already left an indelible mark on the literary and philosophical communities. His philosophical essays, along with his poetry, continue to influence modern thought. His emphasis on intellectual rigor, simplicity in expression, and the need for personal growth through conflict resonate in many areas of contemporary life, from literature to psychology and even politics. 1. Embrace simplicity and precision. The Imagist movement and its core principles. The Imagist movement, to which Hulme contributed significantly, was rooted in the idea of directness. Imagist poets rejected the ornate, overly emotional language that had characterized much of Romantic poetry. Instead, they favored clear, concise language that sought to capture the essence of an image or idea without unnecessary elaboration. Hulme's work emphasized the importance of precision in both language and thought. Hulme's philosophy of language. Hulme believed that language should serve as a tool to express complex ideas in a straightforward manner. In his poetry, he often employed stark, simple language to convey deep meaning. This approach reflected his broader philosophical view that the world could be better understood through direct engagement with it, rather than through the imposition of grand, abstract concepts. Precision in thought and expression. Hulme's dedication to precision was not just about language but also about how one thought and engaged with the world. In his philosophy, he stressed that clear, focused thinking was essential for personal and intellectual growth. By rejecting ambiguity, one could arrive at a more honest and accurate understanding of the world and the self. How simplicity reflects the reality of the human condition. The emphasis on simplicity in Hulme's poetry mirrored his broader worldview, that the human experience, when examined with precision, is often stark and direct. He believed that clarity in thought and expression was necessary to confront the raw reality of existence. In this, his work invites readers to cut through the fluff and get to the heart of things, reflecting his belief that complexity in life arises from our own inability to engage simply with the world around us. Application of this lesson in contemporary life. In modern life, the lessons of simplicity and precision can be applied to almost every area, from communication in the workplace to personal relationships. By embracing directness and avoiding unnecessary complication, we can reduce confusion, increase understanding, and enhance the clarity of our interactions. 2. Challenge conventional wisdom. Hume's critique of Romanticism and idealism. One of Hume's central philosophical positions was a rejection of Romanticism. Romanticism, with its emphasis on idealism, emotion, and the transcendence of reality, was a movement that seemed disconnected from the real, often harsh, nature of the world. Hume critiqued this perspective by insisting on the necessity of recognizing the world as it truly was, a world not shaped by lofty ideals but by concrete, tangible experiences. The shift toward realism and skepticism. Hume's intellectual shift toward realism involved the rejection of idealized views of human nature and society. Instead, he proposed that we must confront the limitations and imperfections of the world and of ourselves. This realistic view opened the door for skepticism, an attitude of questioning assumptions and challenging commonly held beliefs. In his philosophy, there was no room for blind acceptance of tradition or popular thought. Instead, everything should be critically examined. How Hume's work challenges established norms. Hume's rejection of Romanticism and embrace of skepticism led him to challenge the prevailing intellectual and cultural norms of his time. His criticism of the overly emotional and idealized nature of much of Western philosophy and literature offered an alternative approach, one that embraced the material world and acknowledged the complexities of human existence. In doing so, he not only offered new ways of thinking about art and philosophy but also implicitly encouraged others to question established norms in all areas of life. The role of critical thinking in intellectual growth. Critical thinking is central to the lesson of challenging conventional wisdom. Hume's work reminds us that intellectual growth requires us to question what we have been taught, rather than merely accepting it. By engaging in rigorous intellectual questioning, we can push the boundaries of knowledge and create space for new ideas. How we can apply skepticism to modern ideals in the modern world. Skepticism can be a valuable tool in navigating the complexities of social, political, and cultural life. By questioning mainstream narratives and being open to alternative viewpoints, we can arrive at more nuanced and informed understandings of the issues that shape our world. 3. The power of art in challenging thought. Hume's philosophy of art and its role in society. For Hume, art was not just a form of expression but a powerful tool for intellectual and emotional development. He believed that art had the power to challenge preconceived notions, provoke deeper thought, and question the status quo. Through art, individuals could engage in a process of self-examination and confront the complexities of the human experience. Art as a medium for intellectual and emotional development. Art, according to Hume, was essential for cultivating both intellectual and emotional depth. Whether through poetry, painting, or other forms of creative expression, art encouraged individuals to grapple with profound questions about existence, meaning, and the nature of reality. Hume's own poetry reflected this belief, as his work often sought to provoke the reader into rethinking assumptions and seeing the world in a new light. The relationship between art and philosophy in Hume's work. Hume's integration of philosophy and art was fundamental to his approach. He saw art not merely as a decorative pursuit but as a vital method of intellectual engagement. His work demonstrated that art and philosophy were not separate domains but intertwined forces that, together, could lead to greater understanding of the world and of oneself. How modern art continues to challenge established norms in the 21st century. The influence of Hume's ideas can be seen in the ways contemporary artists and philosophers use art to challenge social, political, and cultural norms. Art continues to serve as a mirror for society, reflecting and critiquing its flaws, inconsistencies, and contradictions. Artists continue to use their work to provoke thought and inspire change. How we can use art to expand our thinking. Hume's legacy teaches us that we can use art as a means of personal and intellectual growth. By engaging deeply with artistic works, whether literature, visual art, or music, we can push our own thinking beyond conventional boundaries and discover new ways of seeing the world. 4. The value of independent thought. Hume's philosophical influences. Throughout his life, Hume was deeply influenced by major philosophers such as Nietzsche, Kant, and Schopenhauer, all of whom emphasized the importance of individualism and intellectual autonomy. Hume's own work reflected these ideas, as he sought to carve out an independent philosophical voice that was not constrained by prevailing intellectual trends or dogma. Intellectual independence in philosophy and poetry. Hume's poetry, which was rooted in his intellectual independence, was grounded in the idea that individuals should think for themselves, rather than relying on tradition or the opinions of others. This sense of intellectual independence allowed him to create poetry that was both innovative and deeply personal. His work challenged others to think outside of the prescribed norms of society. The importance of questioning assumptions. At the heart of independent thought is the ability to question assumptions. Hume demonstrated the power of this by critiquing the romantic ideals of his time and challenging the assumptions of the poetic traditions that preceded him. By asking difficult questions and challenging accepted wisdom, Hume was able to carve out a space for new ideas and fresh perspectives. The significance of finding one's own voice. One of the key aspects of independent thought is the ability to find one's own voice, whether in philosophy, art, or daily life. Hume's work encourages individuals to break free from the constraints of tradition and societal expectations, and instead to embrace their own intellectual and creative potential. How independent thinking benefits personal and professional life. In both personal and professional contexts, independent thinking is essential for growth and innovation. By developing the ability to think critically and independently, individuals can make more informed decisions, challenge conventional thinking, and contribute original ideas to their fields. 5. Live with awareness of mortality. Hume's experience in World War I. Hume's life was tragically cut short by World War I, which had a profound impact on his thinking. Having experienced the horrors of war firsthand, Hume was acutely aware of the fragility of life. This awareness of mortality became a driving force in his philosophy, as he emphasized the importance of living fully in the face of life's impermanence. The influence of war on his thinking and poetry. The trauma of war was reflected in Hume's later poetry, which increasingly grappled with themes of death, destruction, and the transient nature of existence. His work confronted the harsh realities of life, challenging the idealized notions of heroism and glory that were often associated with war. The tragic shortness of life and the urgency of living fully. Hume's untimely death at the age of 34 serves as a reminder of the brevity of life. His work encourages us to live with purpose and urgency, to make the most of our limited time, and to engage deeply with our experiences and relationships. The role of mortality in shaping artistic expression. Mortality was a central theme in Hume's artistic expression. His awareness of life's fragility led him to create works that were deeply rooted in the human condition, confronting the reality of mortality with stark honesty. Through his poetry, he invited readers to reflect on their own relationship with time and existence. How awareness of mortality can inspire meaningful living. The lesson of living with awareness of mortality encourages us to live intentionally, to focus on what truly matters, and to let go of distractions and trivialities. By confronting the reality of our own mortality, we can cultivate a deeper appreciation for life and a greater sense of purpose. 6. Appreciate the role of conflict in growth. Hume's view on the necessary tension between forces. Hume saw conflict and tension as integral to personal and intellectual growth. He believed that without conflict, there would be no movement or progress. For him, conflict was not something to be avoided but embraced as a force for development and change. The role of conflict in intellectual and personal development. Conflict, whether internal or external, plays a central role in the development of new ideas and new ways of thinking. Hume's work suggests that intellectual and personal growth often arise from the tension between opposing forces, be they ideas, values, or experiences. How struggle can lead to innovation and understanding. Just as tension in art or literature can create new forms and meanings, personal struggle and intellectual conflict can lead to greater understanding and innovation. Hume's life and work are a testament to the importance of embracing challenge, as it often leads to profound insights. Practical examples from history, art, and society. History is filled with examples where conflict has led to innovation and progress, from the development of new philosophies and artistic movements to scientific breakthroughs. Hume's emphasis on conflict encourages us to see struggle as a necessary precursor to growth, both in individual lives and in the broader society. Lessons for navigating personal and professional challenges. In the context of personal and professional life, embracing conflict means not avoiding difficult situations but approaching them with an open mind, ready to learn and grow from them. By seeing challenges as opportunities for development, we can build resilience and creativity in the face of adversity. 7. Be open to change. Hume's intellectual journey. From Romanticism to modernism. Hume's intellectual development was marked by his shift from the idealism of Romanticism to a more modern, realistic, and sometimes skeptical worldview. This transition reflected his openness to new ideas and his willingness to change his perspective as he encountered new information and experiences. The importance of intellectual flexibility. One of Hume's core ideas was intellectual flexibility, the ability to adapt to new ideas and perspectives. In a world that is constantly evolving, the ability to embrace change and grow intellectually is crucial for personal and professional success. How being open to change shapes our personal growth. Being open to change allows individuals to learn from experiences, develop new skills, and refine their worldviews. Hume's life demonstrates the importance of not being locked into one way of thinking, but instead being willing to evolve and adapt as circumstances change. Real-world examples of adaptation in art, science, and society. Throughout history, progress in various fields has been driven by individuals and groups who were open to change. Whether it's the development of new art movements or scientific theories, embracing change is often the key to breakthroughs and innovation. How to cultivate openness to change in daily life. In daily life, cultivating openness to change means being willing to step outside of comfort zones, seek new experiences, and challenge existing beliefs. It requires a mindset that sees change as an opportunity rather than a threat. 8. Value emotional restraint. Hume's aesthetic and emotional philosophy. Hume's aesthetic philosophy was rooted in the belief that emotional restraint was vital for both art and life. Unlike the Romantics, who often embraced excessive emotional expression, Hume saw the value in controlling emotion, whether in the way one created art or in how one lived. The role of emotional restraint in art and life. For Hume, emotional restraint did not mean a lack of feeling, rather, it was about finding a balance between emotional expression and intellectual control. In art, this allowed for greater clarity and depth. In life, it helped individuals navigate their emotions in a productive way. The balance between expression and control. Hume believed that true mastery of art or life comes from understanding the tension between expressing one's emotions and maintaining control over them. This balance allows for more powerful and meaningful expression, whether in poetry, art, or interpersonal relationships. How emotional restraint enhances personal relationships. In relationships, emotional restraint can help prevent unnecessary conflict and miscommunication. It encourages individuals to express their feelings thoughtfully and with consideration for others, fostering healthier and more mature connections. How we can develop emotional intelligence and control. Hume's lesson on emotional restraint encourages us to develop emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and manage our emotions. By cultivating emotional control, we can navigate life's challenges with greater resilience and clarity. 9. Seek intellectual rigor. Hume's commitment to philosophy and thoughtful inquiry. Hume was committed to rigorous intellectual engagement, whether in philosophy, poetry, or other fields. He believed that true understanding could only come through sustained intellectual effort and disciplined thinking. The importance of rigorous thinking in understanding the world in a world filled with distractions and superficial information. Hume's commitment to intellectual rigor offers a reminder that deep understanding requires sustained effort and careful thought. This lesson is especially relevant in today's fast-paced world, where quick judgments are often valued over thoughtful analysis. Intellectual rigor is a path to personal mastery. By approaching knowledge with rigor and discipline, individuals can achieve greater mastery over their fields. Whether through philosophy, science, art, or business, the pursuit of intellectual rigor can lead to a deeper understanding and more effective decision-making. How intellectual discipline leads to deeper insights. Hume's life and work teach us that intellectual discipline is necessary for reaching deeper insights. By dedicating ourselves to thoughtful inquiry, we can uncover new truths and expand our understanding of complex subjects. How we can foster intellectual rigor in ourselves. To develop intellectual rigor, we must cultivate habits of curiosity, patience, and critical thinking. This involves questioning assumptions, seeking out new information, and dedicating time to reflection and analysis. 10. The power of minimalism. Hume's aesthetic minimalism and its influence. Hume's philosophy of minimalism, both in his poetry and in his approach to life, emphasized the power of simplicity. His belief was that less is often more, whether in art, thought, or action. By stripping away excess, we can focus on the essence of a subject or idea. The principle of less is more in poetry and thought. In poetry, Hume adhered to the principle of less is more, focusing on precise, evocative images rather than flowery language. His minimalist style was a reaction against the extravagance and excess of earlier poetic traditions. The benefits of minimalism in daily life. In daily life, minimalism can help reduce stress and increase focus. By prioritizing what truly matters and eliminating distractions, we can create space for more meaningful experiences and relationships. How minimalism can lead to greater focus and clarity. Minimalism allows for greater focus and clarity by removing the unnecessary clutter that often bogs us down. Whether in our physical environment or our mental space, embracing minimalism helps us direct our energy toward what is truly important. How we can apply minimalist principles in our lives. We can apply minimalist principles by simplifying our routines, reducing possessions, and focusing on what brings true value to our lives. By doing so, we can increase our productivity, happiness, and sense of purpose. Conclusion: applying Hume's lessons in the modern world. Relevance of Hume's life and work today. Thomas Hume's life and work continue to resonate in the 21st century. His lessons on simplicity, intellectual rigor, and emotional restraint offer valuable insights for navigating the complexities of modern life. Whether in our personal lives, careers, or creative endeavors, Hume's philosophy encourages us to engage with the world thoughtfully and with purpose. Hume's lasting influence on literature, philosophy, and culture. Despite his early death, Hume's influence on literature, philosophy, and culture endures. His ideas about clarity, precision, and the importance of questioning assumptions have shaped modern thought in profound ways. Encouraging a life of intellectual and emotional depth. By embracing Hume's lessons, we can strive to live lives of greater intellectual and emotional depth. His work reminds us that true growth comes not from avoiding challenges but from confronting them with clarity, rigor, and purpose.